story is about a little girl called Little Red Riding Hood. And our story begins with Little Red Riding Hood walking through the forest to take her grandmother a basket full of food. Before she left the house, her mother made Little Red Riding Hood promise not to talk to strangers and to stay on the path. "Yes, mother, I promise," said Little Red Riding Hood, and off she went on her journey. To get to her grandmother's house, Little Red Riding Hood had to walk all the way through the forest. But as she walked, Little Red Riding Hood was being watched. She was being watched by the big, bad wolf. The wolf often lurked in the forest, looking for people to eat, and he had decided that he wanted to eat Little Red Riding Hood and her basket of food. He was a very greedy wolf, and so he followed Little Red Riding Hood through the forest, hiding behind trees and bushes, until he picked the right moment to approach the little girl. "Hello, little girl," said the wolf. "Where are you off to?" "Oh," said Little Red Riding Hood. He'd made a jump. I'm just off to my grandmother's house. She's not feeling very well, and so I'm taking her this basket full of food." "Oh, that's ever so kind of you," said the wolf. "And where does your grandmother live?" "Oh, just the little cottage on the edge of the woods." "Ah, yes, I know that house," said the wolf. "It's a very, very nice cottage." "Yes, it is," said Little Red Riding Hood. And that's when the wolf had his big idea. "I tell you what would be lovely," he said to the little girl. "If you were to pick your grandmother some of the flowers that grow in the fields of the forest." "Yes, that would be lovely," said Little Red Riding Hood. "But I promised my mother I would stay on the path." "Ah, I understand," said the wolf. "Such a shame, as these flowers are so lovely they would really cheer your grandmother up." Little Red Riding Hood thought on it. "You're right, they would cheer her up. I suppose it would only take a second." "Thank you, Mr. Wolf," said Little Red. "It's very good advice you've given me." And off she went to pick some flowers for her grandmother. The wolf's plan had worked. He had bought himself enough time to get to the cottage before Little Red Riding Hood, and so he ran as quick as his 4 legs would carry him. His plan was to eat Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother, and then to eat her, and then the basket of food. I told you he was a very greedy wolf. The wolf arrived at grandmother's cottage. He opened the door and found her in bed, and ate the woman whole. Then he went into her wardrobe and took out her nightdress, her nightcap, and even took the glasses from her side table and put them all on and got into bed. Now, when Little Red Riding Hood arrived at the cottage, flowers in basket, she realised the door to grandmother's cottage was wide open. She walked into the entrance. "Grandmother, are you okay? It's just the door was wide open." "Oh, I'm fine, Little Red Riding Hood. Come inside," said the voice. Little Red Riding Hood was very confused. "Grandmother, what's wrong with your voice? It sounds very low and deep. Are you okay?" "Oh, don't mind me," said the wolf in disguise. "I've got this terrible cold. It's making my voice sound strange and not like me." "Oh, very well," said Little Red Riding Hood, and she walked further into the house towards her grandmother's bedroom. The first thing that Little Red Riding Hood noticed was the ginormous, floppy ears. "Grandmother," she said, "what big ears you have." "Oh, yes, my dear, all the better to hear you with," said the wolf. As Little Red Riding Hood got closer, she noticed her grandmother's huge eyes. "Grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what big eyes you've got." "Yes, my dear," said the wolf in disguise. "All the better to see you with." Little Red Riding Hood took a few steps closer, and that's when she saw the teeth. "Grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what big teeth you've got." "Yes, my dear," said the wolf. all the better to eat you with. And he jumped up out of the bed, giving the little girl such a fright. He chased her round and round and round the room, but Little Red Riding Hood, she managed to escape. She ran down the hallway, out of the cottage door, and back into the forest. And that is when she bumped into a woodcutter. Help me, she said. There's a wolf, he's after me. I think he's eaten my grandmother, and now he wants to eat me too. Little Red Riding Hood hid behind the woodcutter, and the woodcutter raised up his axe, and as the wolf ran towards him, he stopped dead in his tracks. Take one more move, and I'll chop off your head with my axe, said the woodcutter. Little Red Riding Hood knew she was in safe hands. Please don't, said the wolf. Why shouldn't I? You've eaten this girl's grandmother whole. Spit her out, said the woodcutter. What? Said the wolf. Spit her out. And so the wolf spat out Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother. Luckily, apart from being a little bit soggy, she was okay. Grandmother, said Little Red, I'm so pleased you're all right. Now, said the woodcutter to the wolf, I want you to leave this forest and never come back. You can't go around eating people and their grandmothers. No, said the wolf, suppose not. If I ever see you in these woods again, I'll chop off your head and then I'll chop off your tail. Oh dear, said the wolf. Very well, I'll leave, said the wolf. Sorry everyone. He turned around and ran off out of the forest, and he was never, ever seen again. Little Red Riding Hood and the woodcutter walked her grandmother back to the cottage, and Little Red Riding Hood thanked the woodcutter. Little Red's grandmother turned to her and said, Little Red Riding Hood, what have you learnt? Well, said Little Red Riding Hood, I must always stay on the path, and I must never speak to strangers. And she kept to those rules, and she was never bothered by a wolf, ever again. Thank goodness for the woodcutter. Without him, I don't know what they would have done. They would have both been eaten. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I will be back soon with more stories. But in the meantime, everyone, stay safe and stay happy and keep reading stories. Goodbye.